Hi, it's David from Life with Parkinson's. If you're new here, welcome. We hope you'll consider subscribing. And everybody else, thank you for coming back and watching another episode. Today we're going to talk about a big issue for people with Parkinson's. Bigger than I actually thought it was. We're going to talk about how fatigue affects people with Parkinson's. We're going to look at it from a few different angles and see if we can find some solutions or tips and tricks near the end of the video. And all of the resources I have referenced for this video are in the description below. We have a lot of exciting information to unpack, so let's get right to it. Fatigue is a widespread issue for people with Parkinson's. Pretty darn more prevalent than I would have ever guessed. But before we talk about it, you're going to say, Dave, what the heck is fatigue? It's kind of different from feeling sleepy. Like fatigue is like you're exhausted, you're worn out, all you want to do is lay down on the couch because you can't do anything else. You have a nap, you wake up still feeling exhausted. You go to bed at night feeling exhausted, you wake up feeling exhausted. It's a really strange symptom. It's kind of one of those ones that's like, what is it? But we don't really have a great explanation. Maybe there aren't great words made up for it. But that's generally what it is on a physical level. And on a mental level, what we're going to talk about in the next section of this video is just when your brain is just tired. You can't even sit there and watch a TV show. And I've had that happen. I can't watch TV sometimes in the evenings. It's just too much for me. Or reading a book. You can't read a book or concentrate. Sometimes, you know what? Someone said it to me at support groups once. Sometimes all you can do is just lay there. And I didn't understand that until I started researching fatigue this last week. And just to give you a little bit more info and background into the numbers surrounding fatigue, about half of the people with Parkinson's say it's a major problem. And 1/3 of them say it's their most disabling symptom. Wow. And it's a major problem for people with other conditions and problems as well. Up to 10% of the visits to primary caregivers are related to fatigue. Up to 45% of the general population say they've had problems with fatigue as well. Fatigue really isn't a new issue for me. I've had it since before I was diagnosed. And that's no coincidence because the experts say it is generally one of the symptoms that come on early, a bit of a precursor to Parkinson's. But it can show up anytime in the illness as well. But it's something I've battled with from the beginning because well before I was diagnosed, I would just go out and work a regular work day. And I would come home feeling so exhausted. I would have dinner and go to bed. And I'd be in bed sometimes by 6 p.m. Even after nearly 7 years with Parkinson's and a lot of success with partial remedies, it's still a problem. Sometimes I lay down on the couch at 6:30 in the evening. And then basically I'm so exhausted, I'm just waiting to go to bed. And the experts say that there's a big overlap between fatigue and other illnesses and problems such as depression or sleep disorders. People with fatigue are more likely to be depressed, and people who are depressed are more likely to be fatigued. But there is nonetheless a large group of PD patients who are fatigued but not depressed. Depression in Parkinson's disease typically responds to antidepressant treatment, and depression-related fatigue may improve with such treatment. Sort that out if you can. And when it comes on in the evening and I'm laying there in bed and I'm too tired to pick up my phone and make notes because an idea for a video's come up, or I've been stuck on a video and I finally found the breakthrough, but I can't pick up my phone and make my note, it is so frustrating. So I have to try and to make a memory game to remember the stuff I wanted to type in later, but a lot of the times I do forget it. And a lot of this comes down to trying to make my on times productive. Because right after I've finished my dinner, I try and get my pajamas organized, brush my teeth and floss my teeth, get everything ready for bed, set up the coffee for the next day. Because I know that window from dinner to 6:30 is eventually going to close. And I want to get everything I need to done in that time period. Sometimes I get another little window around 8 p.m., but it doesn't always happen. So being productive and filling my time wisely is something I try and do. Okay, Next part of the video. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? That's one joke I rarely get tired of. Like when someone's going to the gym and they complain, why is everything gotta be so heavy at the gym? I don't know, it just makes me think about the sloth on the Ice Age movies when he's grabbing his little stick to make a shelter. But Manny the Mammoth has already set one up with all these pieces of wood. It's just so funny. I love it. One of the things I've realized over the years is that Parkinson's comes with a lot of non-motor symptoms. And mental fatigue, for me anyhow, has caused a lot of emotional problems. Because when you're mentally fatigued and you're lying there on your bed or your couch and you can't even get up or pick up the phone to make a note, it can be very disabling and really emotionally problematic, I've found. Kind of the time where I like to blame myself for problems. I know I shouldn't do that, but it's hard to get away from that. And so when I was doing my research for this video, I came across an article back in 2013 from Psychology Today, and in it I felt they made a lot of good points. And the article was titled, 6 Tips to Do When You Feel Exhausted by Life. And we're just going to run through those really quick, because I think every last one of them is relevant to this conversation. And the first tip centers around, don't fall into the trap of believing in a just world. Like, don't fall into that mind trap of thinking, oh, I've got this illness because of something I did earlier in life. It's what I deserve. Another really helpful thing to do is to remind yourself that you're doing the best that you can with the situation you are in, with the resources you have. I mean, what more could you possibly do? Parkinson's is a progressive neurodegenerative disease. Like, we're only going to be able to do so much every day. I firmly believe that every one of you is doing the best you can with the circumstances you are in. I hope you never forget that. The next trap centers around telling ourselves that if we would only work harder, things would be better. How are you supposed to work harder when you're battling fatigue? I just don't get it. And if we do try to push harder, sometimes I feel like Parkinson's will just come back and slap us in the face. Being stuck on this tip could make things even worse for ourselves. And then they go on to talk about brooding over our lives, like thinking, overthinking, ruminating, chewing the cud, rehashing problem after problem, or things we've done in the past. I call this the circular conversation, where we go around and around and around it again and just go over the same thing over and over. We've got to stop that somehow. We can't think about things we've done wrong 25, 30 years ago, even though now that we're laying there on the couch, we have all the time in the world to do that. It's a nasty thing to do for ourselves. The next thing they talk about is just trying to set consistent schedules for ourselves. It could be that a little order in our lives would be helpful. And the last thing the article suggests is just to try some self-soothing techniques. One of the things they suggest is rolling up your sleeve on your shirt and just rubbing your arm. It can release oxytocin, or rubbing your lips with a couple fingers, or any other thing that you like to do when your anxiety is high and your mood is low. Okay, last part of the video. When the experts face fatigue and they try and deal with it, they try and deal with like everything else it could possibly be first before centering on the fatigue directly, because it could be connected to depression, apathy, medications, heart failure, anemia, exercise, and if it comes right down to it, they might be able to prescribe dopamine agonists or stimulants. Things I have found that help me deal with the exhaustion and fatigue have been definitely exercise on a consistent basis and a regular schedule has been really good. The Parkinson's vibration glove has been really good for energy. Getting a good sleep and being able to move in bed. I found Comfort Linen, one of our sponsors, their products has been really good for that. I would definitely recommend red light therapy. That has really helped a lot. And you can check one of our other sponsors, Rouge Care Canada, for that. One thing my neurologist suggested long ago was to use your bed only for what it's meant for. So don't read in bed, don't play on your computer in bed. anything like that can distract, anything like that can trick your mind into thinking that, hey, it's not time to go to sleep. And like I said a little while ago, using your on times as productively as possible can really make the day go better. Okay, thank you for watching and supporting this channel. Thank you for continuing to take this journey together. Leave me a comment or a question below, and I will do my best to answer. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one. Have a good day. Goodbye.